Grounded just came out today for the PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch, and I've been playing it non-stop for hours since it dropped. But it did come out a couple years ago for the Xbox. This is originally an Xbox game. But this is a game that has completely eluded me ever since its original release. I didn't know much about this game going into it. I didn't really know anything about it. And I like to review and discuss new game releases on this channel, but unfortunately April is kind of a dry month. There's not that many new games out right now. So I figured, why the hell not? Let's play Grounded for the first time. I'm approaching this review as a brand new player. I'm not talking about any specific updates. I'm not comparing the game and its current state to its original release. In this video, you're getting a review from the point of view of some dude who's jumping into this game for the first time as a brand new player, playing the game for the first time in its current state. I'm gonna treat this review the same way I would treat a review for any new release. So let's get into the review. I'm gonna show you guys some raw gameplay, but before I do that, hit that subscribe button. I talk about video games all the time. I do day one reviews just like this very often, but I also talk about movies and TV shows as well. But enough with this intro. Let's talk about Grounded. So first things first, I want to make it clear that this is a first impressions review. I have been playing the game pretty much all day, but I have not beaten it yet. I have not seen every single thing that this game has to offer. So what is Grounded? I'm sure most people know the basic concept of this game by now, but I'm still gonna go over it in case you're one of the few people like myself who didn't really know what this game was before this re-release. First and foremost, it's a survival crafting game. You'll be managing your thirst and your hunger, and you'll be crafting new weapons and better armor as you progress throughout the game. You'll also be crafting other stuff as well, like shelters and fortifications and shit like that, and you can play through the game either entirely solo, by yourself, or you can play in a group of up to 4 people. So I'm gonna break this review up into 2 parts. First, I'm gonna talk about all the things that I liked, and then I'll talk about any of the stuff that I didn't like. So the first thing I want to commend this game for, and it's what really drew me to it in the first place, is the tone and the setting. You play as one of 4 teenagers, and you're shrunken to be smaller than an ant, and you're trapped in some suburban backyard. So your environment is just a massive scale backyard. So there's giant blades of grass everywhere. Little holes in the ground are basically dungeons for you, since you're so small. Trees are like the size of skyscrapers. Just simple, everyday things that most of us see every day now has a new spin on it that makes it feel magical, and it beckons adventure. And it came out in the perfect time of year for where I am. In New England, it just started to feel like spring, and I've been spending time outside for like the first time in months, and now every time I see an ant in the grass, I'm gonna be wondering to myself, how many do I need to defeat and harvest before I can craft a new helmet? And speaking of that, the enemy and creature variety is what you'd expect. Ants, gnats, spiders, both of the small and wimpy and massive and horrifying variety. Just all sorts of insects and stuff like that. And again, I just love the tone in the setting. It's light, it's refreshing, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it respects your time as a human being. It understands that us, as people, shouldn't feel obligated or find it necessary to dedicate every ounce of our being to a game like this, which is something that a lot of games in this genre don't seem to really care about. And that leads me to the next thing I love about this game, and that's that it has an end goal. It has a story. It has, from what I've gathered, an actual ending. When it comes to a lot of survival crafting games, they are just endless loops, which I know a lot of people love, and I can see why people love that. But Grounded just handles things differently. It actually has a story and an end goal to work towards, which makes it feel, in my opinion, like you're actually achieving something. Unlike in other survival crafting games where it can kind of feel like a lot of busy work that inevitably just gets abandoned at some point or another and kind of feels like a waste of time at the end of the day. And now that leads me to the story. So far from what I've seen, it's nothing to write home about. It's not super interesting or engaging, but it's serviceable for a game like this, but it also seems to get more interesting as it goes on. So who knows, maybe by the time time the credits roll, it'll be a story I remember, though I honestly doubt it. Full transparency here, I'm not super well versed in survival crafting games. I haven't played that many. It's one of my least played genres, but I have dabbled in some of the more popular ones, some for a respectable amount of hours and others just to pass an afternoon or two. But in my experience, Grounded has probably the most satisfying core gameplay loop. The gathering of items and the crafting feels quick and to the point. You feel like you get rewarded pretty quickly and quite often. And combat, while not great to be fair, it feels far more polished and punchy, and more importantly, more fun when compared to the other games in this genre that I have played. However, again, full transparency, I have not really dabbled much at all into the base building mechanics of this game, so I can't speak on how good or how bad that feels. Now, what didn't I like about Grounded? I thought that the intro to this game was a bit overwhelming and just not fun, if I'm being honest with you. It throws kinda a lot at you without much real explanation when it comes to gameplay and story, but once you get your footing, it becomes a lot easier and a lot more fun. But I'm also fully aware that that might just be a me thing, not being well versed in this genre. The next critique I have with this game is that you will experience a glitch or two. Nothing that broke the game for me or lessened the overall experience, to be fair, but there was a noticeable amount of small hiccups. For example, one time a giant wolf spider got stuck on the tent that I was hiding in, and it just started glitching in some weird animations, and it broke the immersion just a little bit. And also, at least 3 separate times, the game would prompt me to click a button at some point or another, and then the button just didn't work at all, but it would decide to work when I took about 20 steps away and then approached that area again. So just small, minor annoyances are sprinkled throughout this game, but again, nothing that broke the immersion fully, nothing that overall lessened the experience. Lastly, I'm honestly not sure how much fun I'd be having as a single player if I was playing through this game by myself. I'm playing through this with another person, and I feel like it's adding quite a bit to the overall experience. I'm just having so much fun doing this with another person. And honestly, I think I'd only be having a fraction of the amount of fun that I'm having now if I was playing through this by myself. A lot of the fun, and I'm sure you can say this for most survival crafting games, comes from the cooperative experience. You go look for one resource while your partner looks for another resource, trading items, crafting gear for each other, fighting bigger enemies together, reviving, that sort of thing. But again, to be fair, I feel like you can say that about most multiplayer games and most survival crafting games. I'm sure you know what type of gamer you are and whether you'd like this as a solo player. But again, for me, in my opinion, I don't think I'd really want to play through this solo. But anyway, that's my quick and brief thoughts after playing Grounded for today, and I can tell you, they've earned a new fan. I am loving this game. Honestly, I'm gonna go to Limited Run Games and I'm gonna order a physical copy of this game on PlayStation 5. That's how much I'm liking this game. Are you playing this re-release? Are you playing this game for the first time like myself, either on the PlayStation 5 or the Nintendo Switch? If you are, let me know in the comments. What are you thinking of it? Are you enjoying it? Are you disliking it? Or have you been playing this game for years, ever since it came out? If that's the case, I want to hear from you in the comments too. What do you think about Xbox allowing some of their first-party exclusives to go to other consoles? Either way, I look forward to hearing from you. Once again, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and thank you for watching, especially if you watched this far.